Here's your news for March 16, 2020. We're starting off with news from the road to WrestleMania, as this year's show may not happen on schedule. Due to the global medical concerns, the WWE may be forced to postpone their biggest show of the year, but that won't stop Bray Wyatt from getting his hands on John Cena. On Twitter, the former Universal Champion laid out the challenge, saying if the show is postponed, then he challenges John to a bar fight death match at Hooters Bar. Given Cena's busy movie schedule, it's difficult to say if the 16-time world champion would be available later in the year, but it's clear that Wyatt wants payback on Cena, whether that's surrounded by thousands of fans or surrounded by wings and waitresses. Both Wyatt and Cena appeared on the latest edition of SmackDown, which, due to fears of infection, took place at the WWE Performance Center with no audience in attendance. Though nobody watched the show in the arena, plenty did at home, and Showbuzz Daily reports that the 2-hour show drew 2.58 million viewers, up from last week's 2.45 million. In the coveted 18 to 49 demographic, the show brought in a respectable 0.7 rating, though it's possible that these good numbers are down to fan curiosity, wanting to see how the show happened without an audience. With tonight's Raw also scheduled to take place at the Performance Center, it'll be interesting to see whether the numbers are up for the Red brand, and this year's road to WrestleMania remains a very bumpy ride. Though WWE didn't have any fans in the Performance Center this week, one person who did show up in multiple roles was Triple H. Not only did the WWE COO serve on commentary alongside Michael Cole, but he also served as makeup artist for the veteran announcer and as a cameraman, though this wasn't the initial plan. Fightful Select reports that the game wasn't supposed to be such a big part of the show, but a decision was made given the response he was getting online. They said, "We were told originally there wasn't supposed to be so much Triple H involvement on screen on Friday's episode of SmackDown. Originally, there were supposed to be more guests featured, but Triple H's chemistry and social media reaction led to an on-the-fly call to have him stick around throughout the entire show." It's impressive that despite everything going on in the world, WWE remains committed to providing entertainment for the fans, even if they don't have a live crowd. With that said, it's unclear why Corey Graves didn't make it to Orlando, as he would usually serve alongside Cole, but perhaps the savior of misbehavior will be on this Friday's episode. During his stint on SmackDown, Triple H joked that he's, quote, "the only guy that can get demoted and get busier." This was an obvious shot to recent reports about the changes backstage, as several news sites have said that the game has been quietly demoted due to his new role as Executive Vice President of Global Talent Strategy and Development. In a report by PW Insider, it was revealed that the game really is getting busier than ever before, as they wrote, "We're told Triple H had been charged with spearheading a WWE decree to develop and open new WWE performance centers, domestically and internationally, so that the company can expand the number of talents they groom for the future. Triple H remains overseeing all things NXT, but his major focus is continuing to set up the future of the company." It's hard to argue with the success that the King of Kings has had with NXT, and now that he's more focused on shaping the future of the company, things could certainly get interesting in the not-so-distant future. We are looking ahead to Monday Night Raw now, as this week's show will be very different to last week due to it taking place in the Performance Center. Despite the change, this won't stop the Red brand going ahead, and this week's show will be stacked with Edge, The Undertaker, and Stone Cold Steve Austin all promoted for the show. The PW Insider reports that both the Dead Man and the Rattlesnake are in Orlando, meaning that they will appear on the show despite there being no crowd. Throughout their careers, Austin, Taker, and Edge have all fed off the crowd, so it'll be interesting to see how the three legends do without anyone in the seats. We've got even more news from the global medical concern. As while WWE hasn't postponed WrestleMania yet, things aren't looking good for the show of shows. In the latest update from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC is advising against gatherings of 50 people or more for the next 8 weeks, which would obviously affect WrestleMania. Given that the show is expected to bring in tens of thousands of fans in less than 3 weeks, this could be the final nail in the coffin for the show, especially as the CDC has warned against several events happening, including sporting events such as WrestleMania. As of this video, WWE has not made an announcement about the state of WrestleMania, but with the city of Tampa saying they were leaving the choice up to WWE, Vince McMahon may be forced to make a very difficult decision. More news from the global medical crisis. As while the WWE are biding their time before making a decision about Wrestlemania, they are already taking some actions now. PW Insider is reporting that an email was sent out instructing the staff to work at home, saying, "The company sent out an email to all employees today advising them if they have the capability to do so, they should be working remotely from home if they can for the foreseeable future in order to combat the coronavirus outbreak." It's obvious that WWE is taking this global problem very seriously, but one piece of advice we should all follow is to wash your hands often and try to avoid panic buying. As if things weren't bad enough already for WWE, we've got some more bad news for the company, as they've been hit by another class action lawsuit. Recently, a lawsuit was issued against the WWE by the City of Warren Police and Fire Retirement System, and these claims stemmed from WWE's agreement with Saudi Arabia, despite the public backlash. Now, Paul Zanussi has filed a similar class action lawsuit against the company, mentioning tensions between the WWE and the Saudis, who reportedly failed to make millions of dollars in payments to the McMahon-led company. With WrestleMania possibly being postponed and the global medical concern threatening weekly programming, a second lawsuit is the last thing WWE needs, as 2020 continues to be a difficult year for the biggest wrestling promotion in the world. We are taking a break from WWE now to look at AEW, as they too are struggling under the global medical issues, but that isn't their only problem. On a recent episode of the 83 Weeks podcast, Eric Bischoff brought up the fact that Tony Khan claimed AEW was learning from WCW's mistakes, a comment that irked the former Raw general manager. In response, Bischoff said that AEW is using WCW pay-per-view names, claimed that they have a low-budget version of the WCW set, and pointed out that they are paying huge contracts out, just like the company that went out of business in 2001. Though they were founded just over a year ago, AEW has had some major victories, but have also faced some issues that never came around during WCW's tenure. With the ongoing medical crisis, time will tell just how AEW will respond, and whether Khan will have a reply to Bischoff's comments made on his podcast. We've got some sad news to report now, as independent wrestler Big Daddy Yomyom was recently shot outside his own home. The indie star was shot in Shreveport, Louisiana early on Saturday morning, though thankfully they were non-life-threatening injuries. Yomyom, whose real name is Brian Wilcott, was later treated at the Oshner LSU Health Shreveport, but it's unclear if he's been released. After being trained by Jazz and Rodney Mack, Wilcott has worked in the indies for years and had a stint in FCW, and we here at SlatRock would like to wish him the best as he recovers from this awful incident. Back to WWE now, and one name fans haven't seen in quite some time is Rusev, as the ongoing contract negotiations between him and WWE have affected his screen time. One person who's noticed the lack of the Bulgarian Brute on Raw is Sheamus, who recently spoke with Sportskeeda about his friend. In an interview, the Celtic Warrior spoke about the angle between Liv Morgan and Lana being dropped, and that Rusev was having fun before the WWE cut him from the show. He said, "He was having a great time. I just don't know what happened with that story, you know? I don't understand it. I just thought Rusev could have definitely gone on a roll after that. Rusev's one of my best mates, bro. Me, Drew, Cesaro, and Rusev. They're my closest friends, you know? For all different reasons. But I want to see Rusev doing well. I was happy when he came back, dude." Time will tell whether fans will ever get to see the former United States champion back in a WWE ring, and while his wife Lana has signed a multi-year contract to stay, time is running out for the Bulgarian Brute and WWE to come to a deal. Speaking of stars not being used as much as fans hope, Elias may be on WWE TV each week with his guitar, but that doesn't mean that the former 24/7 champion doesn't want bigger things. While speaking to Busted Open Radio, Elias said he's begging for more opportunities in the company, saying, "I'm begging for the opportunity to be, even further along than where I am. And you know what? It's great. I'm on television every week and people feel alive. But I'll tell you what, man, I feel like I'm capable of even more. I'm looking for that on all aspects, to the point where people might be getting upset with me because I'm pushing so hard." With his physique and character, Elias seemingly has it all to be a megastar in WWE, and it seems the Drifter is more than ready to grab that big brass ring if the company gives him a chance. We're going back to AEW now, as while Chris Jericho may no longer be the AEW World Champion, the wrestler/rock star had plenty of fun during his reign. After winning the title, Jericho celebrated with what he described as a little bit of the bubbly and revealed this week that his love of the bottle goes way, way back. In a photo on his Instagram, Jericho shared a picture of his infant self alongside his father and NHL legend Ted Irvine, who is seemingly encouraging the baby Y2J to have a sip from his beer bottle. Though there's no label on the bottle to confirm it's alcohol, we just can't imagine anything else being in the brown glass bottle, as Jericho's been wanting a bit of the bubbly his entire life. Back to WWE now, and with everything that's going on regarding the medical concerns, it's sometimes hard to remember that there are other things going on in the company. On last week's SmackDown, it was confirmed that Rob Gronkowski was coming to the Blue brand next week, and his real-life friend Mojo Rowley appeared on the Blue brand despite being a Raw superstar. PW Insider noted that Mojo has apparently been drafted to SmackDown from Raw and will be appearing on the Blue show, saying, Mojo Rowley, who had been on the Raw brand, appeared on SmackDown tonight and announced Rob Gronkowski would appear on next week's episode. Rowley said he would be with Gronk. As a former 24/7 champion, Mojo promised to take the title in a more serious direction, but that task has seemingly been given to current champion Riddick Moss. After disappearing from Raw, it'll be interesting to see what Mojo does on the Blue brand, especially with his good friend Gronk by his side. We've got some more news coming from SmackDown, as last week's show also saw the return of Jeff Hardy, who defeated King Corbin in a rather unique manner. Though Hardy defeated the King with his signature twist of fate, Michael Cole called the move the Twist of Fury, and it seems that name is going to stick due to the departure of Matt Hardy. According to PW Insider, they said, Jeff Hardy's Twist of Fate was called the Twist of Fury on SmackDown by Michael Cole on commentary, as Matt Hardy has exited the company and owns the trademark on that term. In response, Matt has flat out denied that he had anything to do with the name change and has said that WWE and Jeff are free to use the Twist of Fate name. Whatever the truth is, these conflicting reports make us very suspicious of what is really going on, but for now, the Twist of Fury name is here to stay. Back to the ongoing medical issues that are gripping the world, as even Hulk Hogan is feeling the effects of the outbreak. On Twitter, Hogan announced that his beach party, which was supposed to take place on April 6th, has been postponed, and the Hulkster cited recent events and the health and safety of his guests as the reason why. While the party was supposed to take place on the day after WrestleMania 36, the truth is that the showcase of the Immortals may not happen anytime soon. And while Hogan is slated to accept his second induction into the WWE Hall of Fame, it looks like this too may change, as the CDC urges people to avoid meetings of 50 or more people. Clearly, there are a lot of tough decisions that WWE is going to have to make, but one person who isn't sweating things is Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch. While speaking to TV Insider, the man said things are business as usual for the superstars, who have used hand sanitizer for years. She said, "It's business as usual. I think we're constantly meeting different people. We're constantly shaking hands. We know to use hand sanitizer. We're always exposed to so many different bacteria in our lives and so many different countries. You can't freak out about any of this stuff. You have to continue on and hope for the best." Despite there being no crowd tonight, Lynch will appear on Raw as she continues to build momentum towards her Raw Women's title match against Shayna Baszler, which is scheduled to take place at WrestleMania 36 on April 5th. From someone who has had huge success in WWE to someone who is continuing to struggle, as EC3 has done very little in months on the Red brand. One reason for his absence is that the former Impact World Champion suffered a concussion in September, and while speaking to Fightful, revealed that this concussion has been his worst injury. He said, "I will say that out of all the physical ailments I've had in my career, whether it was a torn bicep, torn ACLs, dislocated patella, herniated discs, coming back from this one was one of the hardest things that I've had to do. Read into that what you will, but I've gotten through it and I feel good right now, so we'll see what the future holds." It's a real shame that EC3 isn't used more given his charisma and skill in the ring, and while it seems unlikely, we can only hope things are better for him once he comes back from this latest injury. And finally today we're ending with news from AEW, as next Wednesday's Blood and Guts edition of Dynamite has also been affected by the global medical problems. During Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer discussed AEW's plan to host Dynamite with no fans in attendance. He said, I know that Tony Khan was working really hard at redoing the show for Wednesday, but they were at last word they were planning Elite versus Inner Circle 6-man tag for blood and guts advantage on the show this week. Are they mentally going with the idea that next week they'll have another show and they'll have blood and guts in Jacksonville with no fans? I mean, I don't know. It's clear that Khan and his team couldn't have possibly imagined that something like this crisis would have happened when they launched AEW, and this is going to be a real test for the new company as well as for WWE.